have some coffee with me today. It is 8:28 a.m. and this is Friday, June 14th. Happy Friday, everybody. All right, so David Shurter this morning did another video about the gas station explosion in Earling, Iowa. This took place actually 4 years ago. The way he keeps bringing it up, I thought it was something that was much more recent than that. So I pulled some articles and some news clips and to look at, and in comparison to David Shurter's video this morning. And I have to say, I found some interesting things and things that don't exactly match what he's saying. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and get started here, regardless. And if you didn't hear what I said in between the music, we're basically reviewing the Earling, Iowa gas station explosion. This morning, David did a live stream, and he's always talking about two explosions. This morning, basically, the crux of everything is that he says that there was two explosions that happened, and the media is only reporting it as one, and that Neil Gross is not doing anything about the way that their local media covered the news. Although what's interesting is that David is in a local media clip, but we'll get to that in a second. He's criticizing them for not saying that there's two explosions, therefore it's a cover up. And somehow the explosion is about him. It's an attempt on his life. However, I don't really understand that if he really wanted to, explode something, it could have been really easy just to go to his house specific. You know what I'm saying? It's just like the whole story has now become a part of David Shurter. It's all about David Shurter, and therefore it's one more reason why his sheriff is part of a CA ring, and a satanic one at that. Okay, so but today I actually went and looked at some things about the Earling, Iowa explosion. What kind of coffee are you drinking this morning? Are you drinking coffee? Are you coffee people? Okay, so I'm going to go to channel 7. Wait, is this the one I want? Okay, yeah. This is KETV 7. I'm not sure. Let me double check and see, but this is Omaha News. So this is pretty close to him. And this was April 27th, 2020. And it says here, on Monday, 2 men escaped a pair of explosions. So they are saying that it's 2 explosions. It wasn't just one. And David is saying that they're covering up by his media not saying that it's 2 explosions. Now, we're going to go through a lot of, because this was written all over. This wasn't just local news. It made AP news. It made all kinds of different news stories in various forms. This one is the most detailed. Some of them say 2 explosions. Some of them don't, but this one does. Dan Grote, a co-owner of Earling Standard Shop, is already out of the hospital, and he said his brother-in-law, Don Bruck, will soon leave from Nebraska Medicine. Inside the gas station and auto service shop he's helped run for 44 years, Grote said he was fixing a customer's tire before 8:30 a.m. Then Grote said he thought he heard another tire explode. The blast sent him to the floor. I was kneeling down and trying to crawl out because the roof must have come on me. I didn't know really what happened, he said. 2 explosions leveled the building. 2 explosions, not 1. 2. See, it's right here. 2 explosions leveled the building. People living miles away from Defiance to Harlan could see and hear them. 2 explosions. 2 explosions. Just like David said, 2 explosions. Nobody's missing here. The press isn't missing anything here. I crawled out and turned around and looked back in there. My brother-in-law was in there, so I helped pull him out. Firefighters from several towns, including Panama and Westphalia, rushed to the scene along with Shelby County deputies and Sheriff Neil Gross. The group of first responders raced to get the fire under control and then clear the streets of debris. We've already had reports that it's almost all the way through this town, which is about 6 to 8 blocks north and south. It's a large debris field, Gross said. Just across the street on the corner of Main and Railway Streets, David Shurter said his sister was inside. So David Shurter is quoted in this article. David Shurter is in this article that says 2 explosions. Just across the street on the corner of Main and Railway Streets, David Shurter said his sister was inside her home when the gas station exploded. The flying debris shattered almost every window on the east side of the house. Further west, the blast shook around items in Shurter's cupboard, but spared most of his house exterior. It was like a war zone for a while. It's sad. We were lucky because nobody got killed. This could have been so much worse than what it was, he said. Okay? So David is in the article, all right, giving attribution to the journalists, right? The article mentions 2 explosions, just like David is screaming and yelling about in his backyard. So there's nothing amiss here at all. Still, Sheriff Gross said many who've lived in and grown up in town felt they've lost a part of Earling. I actually grew up in this town. I remember buying gasoline when it was 52 cents from my lawnmower down here at this gas station. I think it will take a drastic blow to the community, Gross said. Wearing a green wound dressing on his arm while having 5 new stitches, Grote returned to a familiar place where family and friends helped him pick up the pieces. These small towns, you might not think of them, but these small towns really hold together when something happens, and thank God it wasn't a tragedy, he said. The Iowa State Fire Marshal's office is investigating how this happened. Grote said he has no plans to rebuild Earling Standard, and the nearest gas station is 10 to 12 miles away from Main Street. Still, Grote said he's hopeful somebody someday can restore the corner. Here we go. Oh, wait, I've got to refresh it because I've already. I think it's not going to play because I already played. I want to play it. Oh, wait. Do I have this shared? Hold on. I didn't have it shared. Let me show the article. Jeez. All right.
22
Okay.
foot is one of them.
Just so you know that what I was saying is what I read was actually there. Just, let's review this again. Okay, so here, the two main things you need to understand about this is David Shurter is actually part of the article. He's part of the article, and the article does say there was 2 explosions. David is making arguments that they're covering up that there was a second explosion, and therefore somehow it's all about him because they're covering something up, and is sheriff's involved in it. But if you look at the Earling, Iowa news, it was like a war zone. 2 people hospitalized after gas station. I'm going to go ahead and make sure that this article is also part of this video in the the description, and I'm going to send it here in the chat in just a second. So it says in the opening line, on Monday, Earling, Iowa, on Monday, 2 Iowa men escaped a pair of explosions that most witnesses believed was deadly. Right here. Right there's the line. Okay? Then you drop down to here. Two explosions leveled the building. People living miles away from Defiance to Harlan could see and hear them. 2 explosions were reported. Okay? Then you come down here, and there's David Shurter right here in the article. Just across the street in the corner of Main and Railway Streets, David Shurter said his sister was inside her home when the gas station exploded. The flying debris shattered almost every window on the east side of the house. Further west, the blast shook around items in Shurter's cupboard, but spared most of his house exterior. He's part of the article. You know what you can do if you give attribution? You can actually go back to the station. You can go back to the journalist. That you can write the journalist. You can send them an email. You can send the paper and go, you know what? The facts aren't exactly correct here. And a publication can make a amendment, can correct itself. And but the article is saying everything that David Shurter is saying that isn't in there, basically. It is in there. And David's part of the article. You see, you get it, right? Further west, the blast shook around items in Shurter's cupboard, but spared most of the house exterior. Did they ever find out what happened? I mean, I'm just curious. The Iowa State Fire Marshal's Office is investigating how this happened. I might do a Google search for results, but here, let me refresh it because I think the video I want to play is in this report right here. So let me refresh this for a second. Okay, so yeah, this is it. Yeah, hold on. Let me get to here. I hate these like commercial things, but they gotta make their money. MCT oil is really good. Oh, God. See, damn it. I hate that. Okay, wait, here we go.
40 years.
Incredibly, 2 workers survived the blast in the town of Earling. KETV News Watch 7's Jose Zozaya spoke with one of them, and he is live just feet away from the rubble tonight.
David, Alexandra, it's not too hard to still find chunks.
Okay, I'm going to try to like see if I can move this along because again, I don't want to, this is just, you know, we all know this information. There's a couple things that are interesting here. Okay.
He thought he heard another tire explode.
I was kneeling down and I tried to crawl out because the roof must have come on me. I didn't know really what happened.
2 explosions leveled the building. People could see and hear them miles away.
So I crawled out and I turned around and looked back in there. My brother-in-law was still in there, so I helped pull him out.
Firefighters from several towns rushed to the scene, along with Shelby County deputies and sheriff.
Okay, so now we're going to get to Sheriff Gross. And look how young he is. Look how young. I mean, I don't know why I was expecting him to be older.
We've already had reports that it's almost all the way through this town, which is about 6 to 8 blocks north and south. So it is a large debris field.
Pieces everywhere.
Imagine being inside this house, literally across the street from the gas station, the moment the explosion.
Now you're actually gonna see David Shurter. All right, let's hold on, guys. Hold on to your hats. Let me make sure I have my okay. Hold on to your hats.
Happened, that flying debris shattering almost every window here on the east side.
It was like a war zone for a while. It's sad, but we were lucky because nobody got killed. You know, this could have been so much worse than what it is.
Still, many who've lived and grown up here feel they've lost a part of Earling.
I actually grew up in this town, so I remember buying gas when it's 52 cents.
So you saw him, right? So he's actually in the news clip. Actually here's the explosion.
Really are helping Grody pick up the pieces.
These small towns, you might not think a lot of them, but these small towns really hold together when something happens, and thank God it wasn't a tragedy.
Now the state fire marshal's office.
Actually, they did a really good news report on that. Just the way it's edited, and then like the article goes along with the video. Like the attributions are the same, the quotes are the same. It's actually really well done. And their B-roll and everything. It's a good report. All right, another little drink of coffee. So that's what really happened. The article does say 2 explosions. David was actually part of the news report. But let's take a look at what he's saying today. Oh, wait. One more thing I want to show you is like when you Google the Earling, Iowa gas station explosion. I'm going to close this window right now. I don't need that. When you Google it, you actually see how many articles there are. This one here, Omaha Central News, NBC, AP News, explosion levels West Iowa gas station, 2 inside injured. Now, when you click on these, they don't say that there's 2 explosions. They're more like a brief. It's like just a few paragraphs. 2 men were inside a Western Iowa gas station, an auto repair shop, when it was leveled by an explosion. Are expected to recover from their injuries. So the more local paper that you see says 2 explosions. This one says just an explosion. Gross, they take a quote from Grote. Same as the other article, Grote said he had been in the shop fixing the customer's tire when he heard what he had first thought was another tire exploding. The blast sent him to the floor. And then investigators say the explosion damaged nearby homes and blew debris up to 6 blocks away, blah, 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 100 miles west of Des Moines. Okay. That's just a little more concise. They say it's explosion. It doesn't go into, this doesn't go into the detail of being 2 explosions, but the news station that I just showed you, KETV, it was like a war zone, 2 people hospitalized after gas explosion. That one did say it was 2 explosions. And when you look at this article here, it did say that there's 2 explosions, a pair of explosions right here, right? KETV, top of the search. That when you go on Google and you see and you put information in and the first thing you look at is the one that has the largest algorithm. So the one with the largest algorithm on the internet says that there's 2 explosions. When you get down to the smaller articles, when the other news stations are just like recapping it, doing a brief summary of something, they don't say 2 explosions. But let's look at what USA Today says. I'm sure I'm going to get a bash of awful videos from him after this, but I don't care because, like, the truth is what's important. Like, I'm not sitting here bashing or humiliating David. I'm just disputing his claims right now. There's a difference, and I please understand that I'm really just saying, no, this is what the facts are. Just like I played that 911 emergency soundbite that Geo gave me about Isaac Cappy to show like what really happened in dispute of the allegations that he's making. Because if one person makes one false allegation about something or a situation or whatever, how do you trust anything they have to say as being a fact? Because you can say, oh yeah, he's mentally ill. He's a schizophrenic. But there are people out there because, they're looking at him as a source, a published author, basically an expert in what he's talking about, has a following, and he's sitting here saying and misreporting things and saying defamation around people. This is like actually showing that he doesn't get it right. Regardless of whether or not it's a mental issue or a grifting issue or whatever, fact of the matter is his facts are not factual. He's lying. Either he's mentally confused about what he's lying and he believes it or whatever. But whatever he's saying is not true. It's not the truth. And because we live in an age of the internet, we can go ahead and fact check this. So this one is, 2 people were injured Monday morning in a gas station explosion in Earling, Iowa, according to the Shelby County Sheriff. The Iowa Department of Transportation reported the explosion happened near the intersection of Route 37 and Route 191. That's it. Some articles that aren't, this is Des Moines, all right, but it's not Earling. Des Moines is not going to spend a whole entire lengthy article like the local news is. It's not going to be as specific is the local news. That's not a cover up. That's just the way it is. Okay? That's how the news works. So let's go. And here's what's interesting. David Shurter is actually using the screenshot, like me, like I did, an actual screenshot of the news story that happened 4 years ago. And he's going to do, and in his video, he basically, this is what David is saying about this incident and weaving it into his, stance on his show. So let's go.
Sheriff will go out there, his department, and tell everybody that I am crazy. And I understand that. But the other day I was out and about, and there is this.
Okay, so he goes on this woman that goes by the name Shag. I'm not really interested in hearing about this. Let's get to the point here.
That I am crazy. But I cannot be the first or the only person who has seen that report for that gas station in Earling, Iowa, when it exploded.
Right, you're not the only person, and there's been several articles, and I just read one today, so I took a look at it. He's in the article. He's in the local article. David Shurter on television, everything.
I cannot be the only person who has seen that report that says that there was only one explosion and they don't know what caused it. And and
if you're joining later, go to the beginning of this video and look at where I read that the article says that there's 2 explosions. The article does say that there's 2 explosions.
Gross, the sheriff, is the one who sent me that report. And then when I told him...
Why would he send you the report when you're in the freaking report, David? That doesn't make any sense. You're in the article. You're in the news clip. So I don't see where Neil Gross would be sending him the report as if he didn't know what the report was. He's part of the report.
And wait a minute, there were 2. What are you talking about? He was just like, I don't write the report. I'm the sheriff. I have nothing to do with it. We live in a tiny town. Their offices are 2 blocks away, maybe 3.
David was in the report. Let me say it again. David is in the news clip.
David's right down the street from each other, and they don't run in the same circles. Neil Gross couldn't say, wait a minute, there were 2 explosions. It's not like there isn't a video of this.
So is this crazy or is this a grift? Is or a combination thereof? Ask yourself that. I asked myself this.
Second explosion. And it's not like Neil, Sheriff Gross, was interviewed by KETV the same as I was the very day it happened.
That's right. And KETV reported 2 explosions. I just read that, David. I just read it. They reported 2 explosions.
In fact, if you go to the website, you'll see the quote, it was like a war zone. That's my quote. I said,
that's right. It is your quote. You are part of the article. That's exactly right.
That I cannot be the only person who has seen that report.
I mean, I wonder, like, when it happened, did David tell them that he was, an SRA victim and that it's probably they were coming to ruin his life? Probably not, because he wouldn't make the news. He would just be dismissed.
And yet, no one has said a word. Not a word.
Yeah, they don't need to say a word because the word's already in the article that there was 2 explosions. Your media in your town got it right, David, and you don't even have an argument. He doesn't even have an argument, you guys. He does not have an argument.
It's just so blatant. Neil knew about the threats I was getting because from moving from Washington to Iowa, they followed me. In fact, when I got to Earling, they laughed because they said they were already set up there before I even got there. They were sending me emails.
So, you know, what he's done is he has attached himself, like he does, like David will do, to a situation that happened in his town, was part of the news broadcast, part of the main line. He gave them the lead. He gave them the lead, the title. That's not the lead. He gave them the title of the actual article. David did. The article says there's 2 explosions. That comes with a news clip and an article. And he's sitting there doing this right now. What is this about? What is this? And then he will, like he always does, he spins this into the other people. He's going to, doesn't say her names, but he's going to go on about it.
Unalived himself a week and a half before that gas station exploded.
There we go.
He never has helped. He's helped the bad guys. And so he knew about the threats about that gas station explosion. And furthermore, I don't think that it is a coincidence that the deputy that they were using to come against me, Donovan, unalived himself a week and a half before that gas station explosion. I don't find it to be a coincidence considering everything. And Neil, it wasn't even me who saw the people across the street from the gas station that Saturday. And Neil did.
I didn't realize that his town was so small. I don't know. I didn't realize, because like when you read the article, they say, oh, it blew up our gas station and now we're not going to have a gas station for 10 or 12 miles away. That kind of stresses me out, man. You better have an extra gas can in your car. Well, that could explode. That's not good. I mean, you want to have like, maybe like some extra gas around your house or something. 10 or 12 miles away. Wow.
Did nothing. And now it says that there's one explosion when there was.
I mean, this is 4 years ago. I'm wondering, are they going to get another gas station? I mean, do they have a gas station now? Like that stresses me out more than what he's talking about.
People have to know about it, and no one has said a word. Why am I the first?
Because the article says 2 explosions, and you're in the article. That's why nobody's saying a word, David. That's why nobody's saying a word. But see, this is all a part of his story. This is all a part of David's narrative of how he is a victim of whatever, of everything he's accusing people of. This is like how many, I mean, I don't know. I just really, I never watched David until he started talking about me, basically. Really, it's honestly, I knew of him. I didn't really think much of it. Okay. And now, how many times have I've heard this explosion over and over and over and over again in the past, 5 months. And there's nothing here. This is a nothing burger. This is just him, when people are tired out hearing about me or Daniel Dowd or somebody else, or he's getting negative feedback or whatever's happening, he'll jump back on his sheriff again and this gas station explosion as being a reason why he needs to ask for a donation, basically, at the end of his video. That's how I see it.
What I want to know. And since that gas station explosion, it has been a nightmare. Coming to this house where I live now, there's a reason why I have a 9-foot fence, and that doesn't stop them. They want to.
How does he afford a 9-foot fence when he's on disability? I'm just curious.
Quiet me. 2 men who are known criminals, who have a rap sheet show up in my town.
And we know who he's saying here. Two men who have, like, look at the deceit. Oh, to me, when sometimes you freeze somebody's face, you can just see how they're lying right there, right in that moment. Two men show up in my town. Okay, those two men are Daniel, Dell, and Geo, right? Okay, that's who he's referencing. So now, just like Denise, this pattern of talk is no different. They take an actual incident, they talk about the incident, and they make a conspiracy around the incident. They speak on that for God knows how long, right? You have to sit through this ramble of whatever, and then they get to the people that they're actually going to target, and that comes later on in the video. And they take everything and they go, then this, then this, then this, and because of this happened. That's an illogical fallacy. That is a slippery slope illogical fallacy. That is a talking point that needs to be aware. We need to be aware of. That's how you get media literate or argument literate. Discussions, how things are written, how the information is being manipulated for you.
Send me pictures of my house freshly painted just the fall before and other places in town because I know they were in town. The other one posts a video on YouTube that has a stamp, a location stamp of being in my town. They're dancing around and my best friend drops over, perished. And Neil knew all about this in real time. And yet he's busy telling people that I am crazy. And why would they show up at my house?
It is because it's pure speculation that nothing really makes sense. That's why a sheriff's department's going to go, okay, well, to my knowledge, both men have actually contacted Neil Gross already. They could figure out, it's very easy to find out where somebody's cell phone is at the time of something happens, regardless of whether or not they make it look like they ping it to make it look like they're in a location. It's most crimes right now are solved by knowing where somebody's cell phone is. I watch Coffee House Crime. There's so many different things where they talk about, we had a cell phone signal until here or whatever. So Big Brother's already happening. So if there was any inkling between Daniel and Geo to anything that's going on with that he's saying in his backyard, it could be easily discovered.
Because I believe that they are in a group that is much like the group that the FBI busted last September.
And notice how many times he says they, them, a group, they, that group's the enemy, that group's against me. That's why I'm a victim. Here's my PayPal and my Venmo. I need $250 for my blog, and I need $250 for this, and they're stealing my social security, they're identity fraud, and they're doing this, and I can't make ends meet because my disability got wiped $500 or something like that. You know what I mean? It's like everything that's happening to him is happening to him because of who he says he is. And he has to keep it going. And somebody has to be the victim. Somebody has to be against him in order for him to keep what he's doing going. Do you not see this? Because I do.
In New York. It was a global satanic Nazi CA ring. That's what it was. And this is the same situation.
And you know what? Unfortunately, there's people that are probably Team Thomas Schellenberger or Team LARP. Leave comments on his channels, up him, bait him in his chat to say things on the targets that they have. And it goes around and around and around and around.
All of the people that I'm battling with right now are all connected to Isaac Cappy.
Right. Okay. I never knew Isaac Cappy, and I never had any contact with Isaac Cappy when he was alive. That is a fact about me. Now, there's other people that he, talks about that may have, have known him and been working with him. All right. But did David know Isaac? Really? I mean, like Isaac had David had contact with Isaac. If you're going to go on, if that's the case, and you're going to go on people who just knew him are guilty of something, then we might as well investigate David Shurter as well. If we're going to be that simple about the conversation.
And they're all criminals. You know, the people that I'm saying are attacking me in town are.
You know what makes somebody, you know what's also a criminal is somebody who actually lies about people and says heinous things about them and harasses them on the internet and then grifts for money because of it. That's also a criminal. That's also a criminal. Or you know what? It lacks integrity. It definitely lacks integrity. It lacks integrity on how you're making a buck for yourself. So you can have a 9-foot fence. David.
Criminals. And Neil, the whole thing about it is chances are they found out about Neil's drug operation before they came into town. That's why they have him by the balls, you know? And it's funny about that gas station explosion, all the damage that it created, all the chaos that ensued. Do you know who wasn't even touched by it? Who wasn't affected by it in any way, other than it made me jump. The second explosion made me jump because I was right by my window toweling myself off and I saw it.
Ew, we don't need to know that. You know what? I don't need to know. To me, the visual image of him telling himself off just is gross to me. Like did you say that to the news people? Well, I was telling myself off when I was, when the explosion happened. I was nude out of the shower, out of my bathtub, doing one of my videos when I was telling myself off. Gross. That is just gross to me. Gross. It's gross. That's my opinion.
Me. I wasn't affected by it at all. Funny how it works that way.
No, you weren't affected by it. I mean, some shit rattled around in your house. I don't know. Did you say, you were there on the scene to give attribution to the news sources? We know nothing happened to you because you weren't close enough to have anything happen to you. Okay, David. And you were there to telegraph the story. I mean, like this is a wild thought, okay? Who's to say, when you get pyromaniacs and people like that? David claims he set a man on fire. He's even he's even done a video of me in the bathtub saying somebody ought to set a fire under your ass, is what he said to me, right? Then right after that, and on had a video of me, it was a video for me of a doll with its head on fire, its hair on fire. At the same time, simultaneously, that happened, right? And, David is now using this fire to make him a victim. He already admitted he set a man on fire and had to be put in a mental institution for it. A huge explosion happens a few blocks from him, and then he's there for the media. Like, did he go back to the scene of his own crime? I mean, I'm not saying that that's what happened, but sometimes I think that because, you know what? My uncle, right, actually set my father's house on fire because he was mad at him. And then they had the house completely rebuilt. And then my uncle set it on fire again, the garage, and they were able to put it out. And I couldn't believe it. Like, my dad called me up and he goes, "Your Uncle Rudy, he burned the house again." I go, "What? What?" Right? I was just outrageous. And then all of a sudden, he got busted. And he goes, "Your Uncle Rudy's he's in prison right now. Your Uncle Rudy we finally, got him." And I go, "What happened?" He goes, "Well, they always come back to the scene of the crime." And he went back to the scene of the crime. So that's why when I look at David, I'm like, is it his crime? Is it actually David's crime? I don't know. Well, I'm going to search and see what the results are, like what they found out. But I just find it kind of interesting. I'm not saying that it is. Don't misconstrue me. But it is a thought.
They want to shut me up because they don't want me exposing the CA ring, which I have been after for a long time. I've written a book that was nominated for Book of the year that I published it. And it's the same thing. And people can say whatever they want. But as far as that gas station explosion, the fact that I am the first and I think really the only person who has stood up and said, wait a minute, there's 2 explosions, not 1. Why the discrepancy?
They did report it as 2 explosions, David, and you're in the article. I just read it on this. If you come late, go to the beginning of this video, because I actually read the article of him in it where they say there's 2 explosions. So he's really, this is really, he should be embarrassed right now. Totally.
The fact that I'm the only one doesn't bode well in the respect department for me and everyone else. So people who call themselves weird names and the other people in town who are talking, who, you know.
Yeah, you know what? Your town probably at this point, because it is small, and I'm imagining he's in his backyard, so his neighbors hear him doing his videos. If it's that small of a town where when the gas station did explode, there's not another one for 10 to 12 miles, everybody knows each other. And I'm sure that they have, the internet, and they can go online and they can look at what David Shurter's saying in his backyard. So, yeah, maybe people are looking at him now like, what? And rightly so, in my opinion. So I said I was going to source the article in here. And I'm going to. All right. Okay. And I'll probably even put it on my community page. Because this is what really happened. All right. David's in the article. Two explosions happened. All right. I'm going to Google really quick to see what was the cause of the Earling. Okay. Iowa gas station explosion. You know what? Right now, I don't see any new articles after that. I don't see any public update. Wow, it even made that I'm going to share the screen. It even made the Washington Times did an article on it. But it's all May 3rd. Cause of explosion under review. May 3rd, 2020. Okay, hold on. Got a thing. Not wanting, it's to wait. There we go. I think that did it. 2 injured when building explodes Monday. There's nothing here. It's still under here. Building co-owners. It's still under review. I don't even want to click onto that. I don't even want to click onto that one. Hold on. Cause of Earling Iowa gas station explosion. See, did anything ever get resolved on that? Okay. Share the Google thing. Okay, that's the original article that I showed earlier today. Okay, 2 hospitalized, explosion levels. Investigators say the explosion damaged nearby homes and blew debris up. Update. Okay, it just says the fire marshal has an ongoing investigation. Two injured in Iowa gas station explosion. Explosion destroy Earling service station. Hasn't made it careful. Okay, what's this? This is it. Iowa publication online. State fire marshal. No, I don't know. This doesn't look right. That's not right. Okay, update. The Shelby County office 7911. Okay, that's still two injured. Okay, I just don't see it. Let me go to ChatGPT for a second. Maybe ChatGPT will have it. Let's try, right? ChatGPT. Okay. I don't know if I signed in on this. I should be signed in. No, I don't want an article about ChatGPT. Shit. Where's ChatGPT? No. Okay, let me do it this way. Stop this. Why can't they find it? No, I had it already. I was using it. Jesus. Where's ChatGPT website? Okay, here we go. Here I am. Okay. All right, here we go. All right, I found it. I'm going to type it in. Okay, what was the cause for the Earling, Iowa gas station explosion on April 27th, 2020? Okay. I'm going to let it go for a minute and I'm going to share the screen. Oh no, that's the wrong one. I don't need this open anymore. I don't need that. Okay. Hi, John again. All right, so I'm going in the chat GPT. The explosion of the gas station in Earling, Iowa on April 27, 2020 was caused by an accident that is still under investigation. The blast completely destroyed the gas station and blew out windows of neighboring homes. 2 individuals, Dan Grote and his brother-in-law, Don Brunk, were injured. Grote treated and released from hospital, and Bruck was airlifted to another hospital for further care. So they still don't know what the cause is. That's interesting. It's 4 years later, and they don't know what the cause is. All right, so John, just to recap. Check out this article that I put in my chat right here. Okay. At the beginning of, I'm going to recap because I'm going to go pretty soon. But nice to see you again. Okay. Actually, if you look at that article, which I started with earlier today, you will see that David Shurter is part of the article. He actually gave the attribution of even the title of the article for his local news. He's sitting there this morning talking about how they're not reporting that there was 2 explosions, and they're reporting that's only 1, and that his sheriff is involved with the cover-up of it. And in the article, it does say that there's 2 explosions. So he's really just kind of making shit up right now. Okay. So, and then of course he did the usual slippery slope where he talked about this and this and this and this and a sheriff, and then he breaks off into how Daniel and Gio and these people are coming after him and the death of Owen and all this other shit. So, I don't know about everybody else. I don't know about everybody else, but, that's the facts. David is just sitting there making shit up and in his backyard and acting like he's a victim. And then, ultimately he's going to be asking for money because he does it. He didn't do it in this one, but we all know what he does. So if you want to support a liar, why does this matter to me? Why am I talking about David Shurter? Well, because he's a liar and there are facts, and I really can't stand liars. And this is not my rabbit hole. And I created the title of my channel, Not My Rabbit Hole, and it's also on Spotify and everything else, was about the fact that these people, these players like David, who do these things and have a book called Rabbit Hole, that's not my rabbit hole. So until next time, have a fabulous and wonderful day. And if you like this information and you believe that it's true, please like and share and get the truth out of what David Shurter is actually really doing on his channel and on TikTok.
Save my soul. Went up downtown. Went up downtown. Went up downtown. I want to save my soul.
Yeah.
Pop, save my soul. Oh, pop, save my soul. Pop, save my soul. Pop, save my soul. Pop, save my soul. Oh, pop, save my soul. Pop, save my soul. Pop, save my soul. Pop, save my soul. Oh, pop, save my soul. Pop, save my soul. Save my soul. Pop, save my soul. Pop, save my soul. Pop, save my soul. When up downtown, when up downtown, when up downtown. I was walking out one evening late.
Headed for the riverside, around this fuss and fight.